I move to the next motion, Councillor Christou withdrawing support for FOGO.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before I get into my speech, I have some questions I'd like to ask, Madam Mayor. Through you, Madam Mayor, I'd like to ask Councillor Hussein the questions. The original move of FOGO. Councillor Hussein, through you, Madam Mayor.
It's Hussein, Councillor Christou. Thank you.
Through you, Madam Mayor, can you explain to the Chamber your reasoning for bringing FOGOs and what studies you conducted when you wanted to implement FOGO into the council, and under what theory?
Councillor Hussein can answer the questions. Thank you, everyone else. I know you're being very but we'll just remain silent. Thank you, Councillor Hussein. You're not under any obligation to answer.
Yeah, but I didn't hear what the question was because everyone was talking.
I'll repeat it again. Councillor Hussein, on the 18th of May 2022, when you brought FOGO to Chamber, can you inform the Chamber what research and what actions you undertook to bring such a motion to Chamber?
I'll take that on notice, Councillor Christou.
Thank you, Councillor
Wow.
Hussein.
Well, I have a follow-up.
Follow-up?
No, Madam Mayor, it's a simple question. We're here to debate the withdrawal of FOGO pilot support program, which Councillor Hussein has put to the Chamber, which was voted upon. And I've just asked him a question, and he can't answer it. He said he'll take it on notice. Is this a joke?
Councillor Christou.
Is this really a joke?
Councillors. Excuse me, councillors. Councillor Christou, you know under the Code of Meeting Practice you're allowed to ask another councillor a question, but they are obliged to take your question on notice, and that is what has occurred. You are not to debate that answer. You are to move on. Thank you.
I have a second question too, Madam Mayor, before we get into it. And maybe I should stress that the two members of the planning panel should leave the chamber for this debate, because I will be raising issues around the planning.
They'll make up their mind at the time. Thank you, Councillor Christou.
Well, we're going to discuss the proponents of planning. I have the environmental impact statement around the whole plan development, so I'll put you both on notice.
Excuse me, Mayor, I object because the notice of motion doesn't refer to any development application that's before council, and it shouldn't. So, Councillor Christou, Mr Mephane shouldn't bring these things to the chamber.
Councillors, do you want me to adjudicate or not? Well, I'll go and watch the soccer.
Well, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Elmore, please.
Madam Mayor, point of order number one.
Please be quiet and allow me to deal with one matter at a time, Councillor Christou. I didn't hear that, Councillor. Yeah, that's really polite. Thanks, Councillor Saha.
No, on a serious note, Madam Mayor, the reason we are moving this motion tonight is because we firmly believe in our opinion, that the pilot FOGO program, which was implemented by Council, is now affected by and brings into one by the proposed Lidcombe waste organic tip. And it will be discussed extensively tonight in Chamber, and we will be bringing aspects of the proposal, a lot of aspects of the proposal and traffic and everything from the environmental impact report, a lot of planning matters which have highlighted into this, and I don't think it's appropriate that members on the planning panel that need to sit and make a decision on this matter sit throughout this debate, because there are a few of us that are going to reference the environmental impact report, the traffic studies, and how it affects local residents, this proposed development.
Yeah. Councillor Elmore, do not interrupt. Thank you. Councillor, I will deal with this matter. Thank you. The environmental impact statement is a publicly available document, so I don't see that a reference to that statement requires
I'll be referencing the development extensively, because I'll be putting together why I put this motion.
Councillor Christou, that's the only comment I'll make on the matter.
Okay.
It is entirely a matter for those councillors whether or not they wish to absent themselves from this motion, and I would ask you to proceed on with arguing your motion. Thank you.
I will make it known, Madam Mayor, that I hope by those staying in the chamber, I hope they haven't jeopardised the good 2,000 residents that have put objections in. Okay, thank you. I'll get on with it.
Councillor, you are free to leave the chamber. You're free to leave. Thank you, Councillor Elmore. I don't need any comments. I think you should just make a decision either to stay or to leave, and allow Councillor Christou to take his 5 minutes. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Christou. You have 5 minutes.
Let the chamber reflect that some from the planning panel did not leave. Okay, I'll get into it.
You haven't referenced it to that yet?
Madam Mayor, point of order. Stop the clock. I move for expulsion. That's 6 times tonight. I've been called.
I move, even though he's left the chamber, when he comes back in.
It's not funny. What part of this is funny?
What part?
What part of this is funny?
A motion for expulsion on someone who's not here.
No.
Thank you,
What part of
Councillor
being
Christou.
called Mr. Methane 6 times is funny?
I'm not.
When he comes back in, I'll move it.
No, seriously. What part of this is funny?
Councillor.
The other side like to talk about workplace health and safety. Okay.
I have to wonder whether
this
this is some deliberate disorder going on here. Councillor, you have 5 minutes.
Okay. It's disgusting. On the 18th of May 2022, Councillor Hussein moved. On the 18th of May 2022, Councillor Hussein moved a motion to chamber to implement a food organics, garden organics pilot program. Tonight, when I've come to chamber and asked him what his reasons behind it was and what studies he undertook, Councillor Hussein has said that he can't tell me why, and he'll take that on notice. Well, that's a slap in the face to the 2,000 residents that have objected to this. Now, the reason why I brought this motion to chamber is because I firmly believe that the pilot program is working hand in hand to encourage and bring in to our local residents the food organics, garden organics waste tip proposed for 109A Church Street, Lidcombe. Now, when I asked the council officers when the application for this came in, bear in mind, the application for this tip came in 16th of May 2023. That's precisely a year after we implemented a pilot FOGO program. And on top of that, part of the information from our own council officers that I was given was to provide a viable transfer option for organic material for Sydney council areas. I'll repeat that, to provide a viable transfer option for organic material for Sydney council areas. Now, again, in our own council response from one of the directors to me, Cumberland City currently offers garden organic recycling services across Cumberland as part of New South Wales Government's Waste Sustainable Materials Strategy 2041. The New South Wales Government has mandated the separation of food and garden organics for household and selected businesses by 2030. This is Labor Party policy. It is Labor Party. They are encouraging this. Now, I will reference.
Councillors, you'll get an opportunity to debate this. Please just take notes and be quiet.
I will reference the report submitted by MRA Consulting Group on behalf of this development, and I'll reference aspects of it. The project is aligned with New South Wales EPA's strategic plan and national waste policy and would result in a facility capable of managing 80,000 tonnes of mixed organic material being sorted and transferred for further processing. The project would provide a suitable FOGO material transfer option for Sydney-based councils. I repeat again, their own applicant has stated the project will provide a suitable FOGO material transfer options for Sydney-based councils. That means all the Sydney-based councils can come and dump in Cumberland City Council area. The proposed development is for a facility capable of receiving up to 80,000 tonnes of domestic and commercial derived food organic, garden organic, FOGO waste for bulking and transfer off-site. The objective is for this proposal to develop an organics waste transfer station capable of processing 80,000 tonnes of mixed domestic and commercial FOGO streams. The third objective is to provide a viable transfer option for FOGO material for Sydney areas. Can I repeat? The third objective is to provide a viable transfer option for FOGO material for Sydney areas. Lidcombe is going to be the dumping ground for all of Sydney when it comes to FOGO. And it's not just food organic waste. It's animal faeces, human faeces. It's all.
Councillor, I'm reading your motion and I'm really having trouble lining up your speech with the motion.
Well,
so
Madam Mayor,
please just focus on
No,
FOGO.
Madam Mayor, please do not interrupt me.
I don't know how we got to other types of waste.
The reason we're withdrawing FOGO, and I don't appreciate your interruptions, the reason I'm withdrawing my support for FOGO is because it directly impacts, I believe, our local residents with a FOGO waste proposal tip. Once we open up this can of worms and we are collecting FOGO, our council trucks conveniently, when they leave the Auburn depot, have to travel 5.3 kilometres roughly to the FOGO dumping tip instead of putting it somewhere else and transferring it somewhere else. Now, the other side of the chamber are going to argue that FOGO is going to be made compulsory by 2030, so we should implement it. Well, to this I say, why do we have to roll out the red carpet 7 years early and implement a trial program which only 15 other councils have put in New South Wales out of the 152 councils and subject our residents to this kind of torture? We've had 2,000 residents express their opposition. Now, we can defer this for 4, 5, 6 years and implement it in 5 years down the time when we no longer have the threat of a waste tip in our home community, in our local community.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Huang.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would just like to start with some questions to Councillor Christou. Has Councillor Christou read the environment impact statement that's provided by the applicant?
No, he's asking a question.
Yeah.
Madam Mayor, I have read the environment impact statement. It's right here.
Okay.
And maybe you should be asking Councillor Coleman if she read it, because she said she hasn't read it.
She
didn't
said she
know
hasn't.
how to read it.
She hasn't. But having a okay, Madam Mayor. Next question: does Councillor Christou know what waste will be received on that site? Proposed site, sorry.
Madam Mayor, I've just outlined my response. If Councillor Hung wasn't listening, I'm not going to go through it again. I'll save it for my right of reply.
Okay. Well, does Councillor Christou know what FOGO is? Does he?
Of course I do.
Could you explain to me what FOGO is?
Is he going to debate the issue?
Oh, it's fine for you to ask the question.
Or not answer.
I'll respond to that in my right
Okay.
of reply, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
You'll all get to hear it in my right of reply.
Oh, well, I am worried because for what I can see so far, Councillor Christou clearly don't know what FOGO is. Councillor Christou said he had read the environment impact statement. Well, he should probably go into the details of the environmental impact statement, into the details of what waste will be received on that proposed site, and actually understand the definition of FOGO and what kind of waste is classified as FOGO. Because the stuff that he was talking about is not actually FOGO. He was talking about, human poos and stuff like that. Well, FOGO, it actually only contains food, compostable plastic kitchen candy liner that compile with Australian standard, fibre-based kitchen candy liner, and garden organic and compostable plastic kitchen and fibre-based kitchen. And if you actually read through the environmental impact statement that's provided by the applicant, it actually says food and garden waste. It's not food organic and garden waste. It's food and garden waste. It is completely different to what FOGO scheme is all about. And also, it just happens I just put some question on notice to educate our well-educated councillor on the other side about, well, it is about FOGO, Councillor Christou, so no. Councillor Christou saying, this proposed tip in Lidcombe is going to take the waste from all over all the councils across Sydney. So that's why I was puzzling just then that I don't understand why that would impact Cumberland Council rolling out the trial of FOGO scheme. Because not having Cumberland Council not rolling out the FOGO scheme won't stop other councils rolling out their scheme. And if you look at the details here, clearly Cumberland already has a contracted site to take the FOGO materials. And that contract is there for 5 years with a 2 years extension. So at least 7 years, we know where our FOGO rubbish will go. That's stated in the question of notice that I put forward. If Councillor Christou bothered to read it, he would have withdrawn his motion today. And what implication would this have on our resident? Implication one, $1.8 million will be gone. $1.8 million. It is money that, well, Councillor Christou, read. Council has received $1.8 million in funding from the New South Wales Government to employ with the FOGO trial.
Councillors,
should this motion be supported, the funding will need to be returned to the New South Wales Government. Plain English, Councillor Christou.
Maybe you should use them often.
Well, there you go. I just used it on you. Hey. Then, Madam Mayor, what the second implication will have on our local resident? In the long term, if this scheme is rolled out properly, it will reduce our domestic waste charges. What's the number one issue that our residents have been complaining about at the moment? It is our the size of the increase of our waste, domestic waste charges. So what this scheme does, one, protects the environment. Two, reduce costs. You know, I see this as a win-win for our local resident. I see this as a win-win for our state. Rather than telling the public the truth, rather than telling the public what this scheme actually is and what our resident will benefit from it, Councillor Christou decided to conflate this with a DA application that every single one of us oppose. Every single one of us oppose. So, you know, Councillor Christou, don't treat our resident like they don't understand what FOGO is. Don't treat our resident like they don't understand how council work. It is utterly disrespectful.
You're the one that got booed 3.
councillors, please. Councillor Hussein has the floor. Councillor Hussein, Councillor Christou, just calm down. Councillor Hussein, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So my response to Councillor Christou is a strategic approach to waste management that supports our community to reduce waste, encourage resources and recovery, and ensure clean public spaces. The strategic articles are our goals and what we are trying to achieve through the implementation of the strategies. One of the key goals in the strategy is to improve resource recovery. To do so, we must investigate, implement and monitor opportunities that improve resource recovery. There are also key focus areas within the strategy. These are avoid and reduce waste, increase recycling and divert more waste from landfill and management household problems. The New South Wales waste material strategy says that we must have our food waste to landfill achieved by net zero emission from organic and landfills by 2030. This means that all councils will be required to collect separated food and garden organics from all New South Wales households by 2030. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Hussein. Councillor Garrard, it's finally your turn.
Jeez, you get it easy, South Granville.
Madam Chair, can I ask the General Manager, have we received this $1.8 million?
Through you, Mayor, I'll let Daniel answer the question. He knows the actual figures.
Yeah, through the Mayor, Councillor, we've received $1.1 million out of the $1.8 million.
And have we spent of that 1.1?
We haven't spent as yet, but we're forecast to spend it as we progress the trial and implementation of FOGO.
So it could be returned. We haven't spent any of it.
Through the Mayor, Councillor, the decision to return is based on whether Council proceeds with the trial or not, and that's a matter for Council.
Exactly, so it could be returned. Look, I support the recycling of food and indeed trying to, I suppose, promote organic waste. But I've got this situation from maybe old school days. When I've collected my waste, and there we have 2 weeks' waste from my house. 2 weeks. Now it weighs 2 kilos, right? So my household every week produces 1 kilo of waste, which would use this pilot scheme be sent towards FOGO. Now we talk about waste, and I think wasting money is probably the biggest thing that communities get concerned about. $1.8 million to look after 1,000 people in a pilot scheme works out to be something like $1,800 per person, per household. And, hello, what are you going to do? You're going to pick up 1 kilo of my household waste, and I've just showed you that. Now, at the moment, my waste goes into my garden. In fact, I compost it and have done it for years. It goes into my garden where I propagate my own vegetables, where I propagate my own flora, and then, of course, I present them in my garden. Now, if you come to my household, you won't find any food left over, because if it is left over, it goes in the fridge and we eat it again. You see, now we're doing it a bit hard these days. Communities are actually saying, well, listen, we don't throw away food, we actually eat it. And I think we should be going back to a situation where we actually... I'm sorry.
They're entering the room again.
We should be going back to a situation where we actually recycle our own waste. And you know, we can do that very simply. We can do that by going down to Bunnings and buying a $160 recycle compost bin. We can do that, and we can perhaps, these are large bins I might add, they would probably be able to do 3 people, 3 families, or 5 families easily. If we did that into 1,000, 3 into 1,000 goes 333, multiply it by 160, we can give 333 people a $160 Bunnings bin for $53,000. If we take into account council's administration costs, and let's say that they're pretty hard on us, we'll double the figure, we can get out of it for $106,000. Yet the government, we're going to charge the government $1.8 million to do what we were doing years and years ago. The government came out years ago and said, listen, we need worm factories. And then it came out, we need to be composting. Well, why aren't we composting? If we compost now, in the fashion we are, where's it going? Okay, to produce fertiliser. To produce fertiliser. And what's going to happen is that when you look at the tonnage that's going to be produced across Sydney, within 12 years, there'll be such a large amount of fertiliser, it won't be able to be used. I mean, this is a circumstance. I would rather see us on the front foot, running a program where, as a council, we ask for communities to actually register for a FOGO to provide a composting program. So where we might have 1,000 people tied up with maybe 300 or 200 sites, depending on how many people get involved, if we can actually bring the council and neighbourhoods, our residents, into this action at all. Part of the problem is how they're selling it to the community, and that's the industry problem as well. The industry problem is about contamination, is about education to the community. The idea that companies are going to go out there and collect this stuff, this is just a money-making exercise for commercial businesses. Do you think they're doing it because they love the planet? They're not doing it for that reason at all. They're doing it to make a buck. And we can achieve the same things that they are doing for only a fraction of the price. We can give bins on loan to residents. In fact, they're doing it in other places in New South Wales as well. You see, this is not backed up with any fact or way forward. It's simply a motion which goes out and says, let's spend the government's money, we'll do what we're told to do, and that's it. There's 1,000 things that can be introduced into our council operation to assist residents. And I don't think we're not doing any of that at all. And I think the door is open to ensure that we do bring the residents along with us.
Thank you. Councillor Saha.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, I have some question to Councillor Christou, and if I can have the floor, Madam Mayor.
Yes. Councillors, can we please allow Councillor Saha to make his contribution? Thank you, Councillor Farooqui. Councillor Saha.
Councillor Christou, I have a question for you. Do you understand, if we support your motion tonight and withdraw from the FOGO program, the council need to return $1.1 million, as the director correctly said, but the more money is coming on our way, that we have to return this fund to the New South Wales government? Yes or no? I don't want
No. You asked me for an answer. I will give you my answer. And if you don't want to hear it, don't ask me.
No, councillors.
Okay?
He can answer it as he chooses.
Please, yes, please.
All right, if you ask me for an answer, respect my answer. If you're going to restrict me to yes or no, I'm not going to play this game.
Okay, no. Answer,
Right.
yeah.
Councillor Saha, I understand full well that, out of the $1.1 million we have been given, which we have not spent, not $1 to date, that we have returned it. We can return it. And I stand by that decision because is that the price that we are going to sell out our Lidcombe residents? For $1.1 million.
Please.
Because if we implement a FOGO program, we are rolling out the red carpet for a FOGO tip. And I'm entitled to my opinion. We are rolling out the red carpet to a FOGO tip, to 119 trucks a day going through there. And Councillor Hamid, you're on the planning panel. You shouldn't be hearing this. Okay, that's fine. And I understand 119 trucks a day, Councillor Saha. So yes, I would rather give back $1.1 million, which we have not spent $1 of, rather than sell out and potentially jeopardise our residents for $1.1 million by rolling out a red carpet on a pilot scheme, potentially leading and opening the door for other councils to a waste organics tip.
Okay, Madam Mayor, I may now ask to the appropriate council officer through to you my next question, where I hope that I will probably get more direct response to it. I understand that every council, sorry, Madam Mayor, I'm asking a question to the appropriate director through you, Madam Mayor. Every council, so New South Wales government has mandated that every council need to have the FOGO by 2030. If we say no to this FOGO trial, return $1.8 million or $1.1 million to New South Wales government, by 2030, our council has the obligation to do the FOGO trial, yes or no? Yeah, into the FOGO. Yeah. Implement the FOGO.
Through you, Mayor, there's a 2030 mandate on all councils to roll out a FOGO service. Irrespective of whether you hand the money back or not, this council will still be required to operate a FOGO service.
So in the future, sorry, I haven't finished my answer. Yeah, thank you. So if we have to deliver the FOGO by 2030, does this council into the future need to run FOGO trial?
Sorry, Councillor, I can't be sure with respects to trials moving forward, but I can't be any clearer. It doesn't matter what happens with the rescission tonight, with this motion tonight, council's still getting FOGO.
Okay, so then we have to find this $1.8 million or similar amount later on to make sure that this council can successfully implement FOGO by 2030. Am I right?
Through you, Mayor, Councillor, if this motion is successful tonight, then we will be returning the funding to the EPA, and when it comes time for this council to implement its FOGO service, the financial assistance available to it will probably not be available.
Great. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I may like to start my 2 cents. You all here, so if we support the motion which is in front of us tonight and withdraw the FOGO services or pilot FOGO trial, that this council into the future need to find out $1.18 million or similar sort of money from our operational plan or wherever to implement the FOGO by 2030, and that will be a cost to Cumberland City Council residents. I request all my councillor colleagues to carefully consider that. Finally, Madam Mayor, I understand through this notice of motion from Councillor Christou that he wants to oppose this transfer station at Lidcombe. Just to oppose the transfer station at Lidcombe, Councillor Christou, you don't need to withdraw from the FOGO program. Thank you. That's all.
Councillor Farooqui.
I would like to ask some questions to Councillor Christou. And hope this time we'll get some answers for a change. Okay. Through you, Mayor. So, Councillor Christou, you said that if this FOGO trial is implemented after 4 or 5 years, then that waste management thing will not be there. Am I right? Did I hear it right?
Madam Mayor, I will answer everything in my right of reply.
No. All right. So that's what he said. So if he said that, I think he's well connected to that tip people, that MA investment. How does he know that there won't be? I asked you the question, you didn't answer. All right, now, next question.
Councillor Farooqui, just be quiet. Councillor Christou, sit down. Yes, Councillor Farooqui, I think you should withdraw that comment.
Okay, I withdraw.
No, Madam Mayor, Madam Mayor, I want to make the point.
It's been withdrawn.
No, I want to make the point.
Councillor?
These sorts of comments happen meeting after meeting after meeting. And on social media as well.
Councillor Christou, I do read social media and I see your comments too. So don't.
No.
So
we
do not take me there. Do not take me there.
Madam Mayor, I will take you there.
I have seen your comments. Take a seat.
I do not imply that councils are connected to developers.
The comment has been withdrawn. Take your seat.
Stop defending her.
All right.
Councillor Farooqui, continue.
Stop defending her.
Next and last question. Can you please explain me what FOGO is? If council has this trial, what will happen? Can you please explain me for the sake of residents' understanding?
Madam Mayor, in case Councillor Farooqui or the beginner colleagues with their oil plates across the chamber are hard of hearing, I'll be addressing most of these issues in my right of reply, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Can I start my speech, Mayor? I'm really confused after listening to Councillor Garrard and Councillor Christou. They spoke about 2 different issues and nothing to do with the actual motion there. I'm talking just to make it clear to our residents because some councillors here are making the whole thing of FOGO very complicated and very confusing for people. And by connecting it to our Lidcombe residents, the whole thing is getting more complicated because it's a new concept. Not many people understand. And that gap of understanding is used by some opportunist politicians in this chamber to twist the facts and confuse our residents, and which is a crime. So just to make it clear, this FOGO, Food Organic and Garden Organic, once the council implements the program, a green-lidded bin, just for your information, Councillor Christou, I don't think you know the answer. A green-lidded bin will be provided to all the residents who don't have it, so that they can put their garden waste, food scraps there. Once the council collects from our FOGO bins, it will go to Urban Recycling Centre, which is an existing facility we have. And it will be accepted by the company named Soil Co. And then transported to Soil Co processing facilities in Kembla Grange, where the processing will happen. All these answers are there on page 769 of this business paper, I'd like to thank Councillor Huang for raising this very important issue. So it has got nothing to do with with the proposed facility in Lidcombe or any facilities in Lidcombe, nothing to do with our residents in Lidcombe. The only thing that will happen to Lidcombe community is they will be benefited like any other residents across the council. So withdrawing this new initiative will not benefit our residents of Lidcombe. It will deprive them from getting the benefit of FOGO, because it will allow us to divert food waste from landfill, or you call tip, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and use the waste to create fertilizer, compost, that can be used in farms, parks, sports fields, and even in our own garden. That's why it's not council, it is New South Wales State Government that has made it compulsory for all the councils to provide FOGO collections to all New South Wales households by 2030. Now, it's not only Cumberland Council, 56 councils in New South Wales already have implemented this service. No complaint, people are embracing it. They love it. Do your homework so that you know which councils have done it. So this motion is very anti-environmental. If councillors from the team called our local community don't need it.
We have made it very clear in my comments. I said I support FOGO as it relates back to our backyard and how we do things at home. Understand?
No. You are seconding this motion, so I'm looking at the screen.
Because we compost them and we put them in our garden. Understand that?
No. The motion says withdraw support of Pilot FOGO, and you seconded that, so I don't understand what you say. No, you are saying something different, then change.
Councillors, through the chair, please. Councillor Garrard, sit down. Councillor Garrard, we've got your point. You've made your statement. We have heard your speech. Councillor, don't you ever ask me to do that. Councillor Farooqui, please. You did, and we listened. Councillor Farooqui has a right to argue her case, and she will continue for the next a minute and a half. Then Councillor Hughes has the floor, and she may wish to say something in response. Councillor Farooqui, please finish.
Yes, it's very much needed. This FOGO thing is very much needed. And this council needs to do what is right. So we received many concerns from our Lidcombe community about the proposed facility, but we haven't received any concern about this FOGO because our residents understand it. Unlike some councillors here, they understand it. Councillor Christou is probably doing a mistake if he's comparing the intelligence level of our residents with his own. So I would appreciate if our media team of the council can put some information on social media. I would appreciate if our media team of the council can put some information on social media and website about FOGO and why we need it. Because it is a new concept, we need them information, we need to educate our residents and the councillors.
Councillor Hughes, I have a motion that the motion be put. I've heard 2 in favour and 2 against. Then I'm compelled to put the motion. I have a motion that the motion be put. All those in favour? All those against? I have a show of hands. All those in favour that the motion be put. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All those against? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to vote in favour of the motion being put. Councillor Christou. That's fine. Councillor Hughes, please pass your notes to Councillor Christou, who has the right of reply. Councillor Christou, you have the floor.
What other councils do for other options, because the intent was to defer it a bit more.
Councillor Christou.
We'll put a rescission, that's what's going to happen.
Well,
Yeah, well, go for it.
okay.
Do what?
At the outset, I would like to say this is disgusting that Councillor Hughes, as a Lidcombe ward councillor, wasn't allowed to give a right of reply and to give her opinions and subject her input on a matter that affects her community. 2,000 residents and counting, and Councillor Hughes, as a ward councillor, was denied an opportunity to advocate on behalf of her community. Now, the MRA Consulting Group statement says to provide a viable transfer option for FOGO material for Sydney council areas. Compost. What are compost bins? Many councils offer rebates or support for the purchase of household-sized compost bins. Some bins need to be in contact with the soil and therefore require access to a garden. Others, such as minor tumbler systems, can be used on a balcony bins. Now, I'll answer Councillor Huang, who seems to not be able to read a report or read English. Now, in MRA Consulting Group's report, waste classification is the waste received on the site would be comprised of food waste and garden waste. Now, food waste, they've classified it as general solid waste, producible means waste, other than special waste, hazardous waste, restricted solid waste or liquid waste. That includes any of the following: household waste containing producible organics, waste from litter bins, collected by or on behalf of local councils, manure and night soil, disposable nappies, incontinence pads or sanitary napkins, food waste, animal waste. What is animal waste? All the stuff I've quoted, which they said is not in the impact report. Human faeces. Anything that is classified as general waste pursuant to an EPA gazettal. Food waste means waste from manufacture, preparation of sale or consumption of food, but not include grease trap waste. Again, for you, Councillor Huang, and I'm happy to give you English lessons every Friday. Food waste means waste from manufacture, preparation, sale of consumption of food, but does not include grease trap waste. Garden waste includes wood waste, waste contaminated with lead, including lead waste from residential premises, containers having previously contained dangerous goods from which residues have been removed by washing or vacuuming, and the list goes on and it's never ending. The reason why we are advocating for the...
I have been misrepresented. Thank you.
No, there's no questions after reply.
Madam Mayor, as I stated, the list goes on and on. The reason why my side, the OLC team, is withdrawing their support for FOGO implementation program in Cumberland, not because we don't support FOGO.
10.23, it says that misrepresentation or misunderstood to speak more than once on a motion or an amendment. It does not mention about right of reply. And we are still in the process of the motion, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor, but once the right of reply has done, that's the end of debate, and that's in the code as well. Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Christou. Please finish.
Madam Mayor, I sincerely hope I'm not interrupted on a third time on an important matter. As we were saying, the reason why we are withdrawing our support for the FOGO waste program in Cumberland is not because we don't support FOGO. OLC team does support FOGO, but being conducted at home, in-house. We do not need to roll out the red carpet to a pilot program, which a minority of councils have implemented, where the MRI consulting report clearly says on behalf of the applicant it is to accommodate 80,000 tonnes of waste from Sydney areas and other Sydney councils. We do not need to inflict 119 trucks a day on local residents. We do not need to inflict 80,000 tonnes of waste on local residents. 500 metres away, roughly, are a block of units and residential places. 2,000 people are very concerned. They are distraught. Their lives have been flipped upside down. They've come to this council, this chamber, they've protested. They rolled up on Saturday. They have protested. And to listen to the nonsense and rubbish from Councillor Huang and Councillor Clr Farooqui, who obviously can't read a report and need to go back to school, and they say that to say that when I mentioned what I mentioned was not in the report and it's only food organics waste and nothing else, when clearly the report states nappies and sanitary items and dog waste and human waste and whatever, okay, is completely unacceptable, and we will not be responsible for rolling out the red carpet to a FOGO tip to accommodate 80,000 tonnes of waste a year. We will not sell out the Lidcombe residents for $1.8 million we have not spent a dollar for. Is that the price we are selling out our residents? Oh, we can't implement a FOGO program. We have to implement it because we've been given $1.8 million of money we have not spent yet. I will not sell out the Lidcombe community, and quite frankly, it's wrong, and we need to vote the correct way and defer this for down the track in 5 years.
Thank you. That's your time. Right.
Madam Mayor, I'll challenge your ruling on the 10.25. The 2 point, you're referring to the clause 10.27, and that's referring to a motion being put.
The Mayor has ruled where to, Madam Mayor.
Just, he can move dissent in my ruling. You know that.
Let's just go on with that.
Really, you're dissenting your own mayor?
I do that. This is not the first time. Jeez.
If a motion, the original motion we now put is passed, yeah, the chairperson must, without further debate. That's 10.27.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So you're wrong.
I am wrong. Sorry.
Thank you.
Can you clarify that Councillor Huang was wrong?
No, we're going to put the motion. All those in favour of the Councillor Christou Garrard motion, please raise your hands now. Oh, Councillor Christou. Just Councillor Christou. Councillor Garrard, Councillor Hughes and Councillor Rami. All those against this motion, please raise your hands now. Councillor Cummings, Farooqui, Elmore, Hussein, Hamid, Coleman, Huang, Saha, Lake and Zeta. The motion is lost. Councillors, that was a very long debate. Councillors,